Welcome back, everybody, to the show. I am your host, as always, Jay Villain, aka That Villain Jay, and with me, of course, is my co-host in crimes, the numbest of Skull.
What's up, guys?
Numbskull right here, back at it with the Black Council podcast. A lot of things coming up, big things moving. We're finally through the summer slump. We took our summer hiatus.
Yep. We had to do renovations.
Cost us another $1 million to fix the studio up. I know it looks the same, but upkeep is a real son of a bitch. So we're back. Really, nothing happened in June. It was a long stretch. We're finally getting to July here, and we're getting the Bloomborough spoilers. We're getting Duskborn, and we're also, our main topic for today, we're getting rotation. That is going to be today's topic. We're going to be talking all things rotation. The main theme is going to be what we'll miss, what we think is a sleeper hit upcoming to replace some of the things we're going to miss when rotation hits, and what we can just say absolutely go to hell. We are so glad to see you go. We never want to see you again. We will literally never play Historic just to never even the chance we'll see that card again. At least
dishonorably discharged.
Dishonorable discharge. Farewell, literally. No pun intended. Farewell to these stupid cards. So out with the old, in with the new. That's today's theme. And just general rotation as well. Also, guys, I have never seen rotation had more wrong information about it. On Arena, rotation is happening July 30th. It's right from the website. Okay. Everyone telling me August 2nd or something like that, or people were also telling me like September. No, it's in September. No. July 30th, rotation is hitting you right in the face.
That's for Arena.
That is for Arena. July 30th, Tuesday, July 30th, 2024, rotation and Bloomborough launch. So you have less than 30 days until we get hit here. So it's start thinking about it, especially new players. I don't want you to spend your wilds, if you want to be a standard player, I don't want you to spend your wilds on stuff that's going away. So we'll start out with that announcement. What was that?
We'll put them up on the screen, the sets that are going to rotate out before we do the cards that we're talking about for them, so that you guys, for anybody who's curious, you'll know, because we're going to hopefully show you how to act properly on our advice, as well as give you this advice of, hey, don't craft cards from these sets, because you're not going to be able to use them for a while. So we'll show you which sets, and then we'll
exactly. I'll put the graphic up on the screen. Simple answer: Crimson Vow, Midnight Hunt, Kamigawa, and Nuka Penna. They're gone. You can't play them anymore in standard after July 30th. It's July 3rd as of this recording, so you got about 26 days to get it in. That's it. So I wouldn't recommend making any of those cards. Either way, it's all things rotation today.
For anyone who was wondering about August 2nd, that's when Bloomborough is released in paper.
There you go. Yes.
So that's why some people were saying that, which is technically reasonable, because that is the paper rotation date. The date for things to be digitally rotated off of Arena and I believe MTGO is July 30th.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual debut, I think it's because it's a Friday, that August 2nd there, and that's the actual debut of the new set, and that's why we're having that. So just a heads up. So if technically, like, you're kind of right, but I guess we mostly focus on Arena and digital play as much as we can here.
Well, we're on
that's what our
both
audience
of our
does,
exactly. That's where we do play in paper. But I make videos for Arena. You can play my decks in paper for the most part. Numbskull plays, on his Twitch. He plays Arena. So that's why we're Arena focused. So that's kind of what we're doing here.
Definitely.
Yeah. So with that all being said, let's get into it. I think first things first, we're going to thank our patrons.
Yes, absolutely. I'll read them off. I got them here. So thank you to all of our patrons. Thank you for sticking around while we were on a hiatus, even though it didn't cost you anything to do that, but still, thank you for sticking around and bearing with us through our studio renovations.
Oh yeah, and we got a bunch of listen. We have Bloomborough spoilers. We have Bloomborough decks. We're gonna have Duskborn right after that. We're gonna have a lot of stuff. So.
We're getting into that. What they call it, perpetual spoiler season or whatever.
Perpetual spoiler season is coming.
So we're like that basically started. That was the initiated last weekend at the frickin' Pro Tour. So we're in it now. We're in the very beginning of it, but we are in it. So there's gonna be things to talk about pretty much weekly at this point.
Oh yeah, stay tuned.
So go through the patrons here. Once again, thank you guys so much. We have just the one. It's like you joined this month, or last month actually. Larry Mitchell, Aaron B, Rufus, Metal Mechanic, Eclipse, Notorious D, Deadfast, Frank E, Argent Icon, W Taylor, Elvan Breams, Xylo Beast, Jamel Langford, Trex, Gypticus, Mamulian, Cassius, Nickel Nuts, H-Man, Ulfbeard, Dante Valentine. We got Savrid on there. What's up, man? Clever Sound and Paradabo. We've got some real OGs here.
Real OGs.
Who've been with us the whole time. We really appreciate it, guys.
From way back, yeah. Going back.
Yeah, from freaking...
We're coming up to our 1 year anniversary next.
2 year.
2 year anniversary next.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it like our first, because I think maybe we went, I think we did, what did we start, like right in August or like end of July?
We announced July, but we didn't really officially do anything until their first episode didn't come out, I think, until August.
Okay, so our August episode will probably be like a 2 year anniversary, and maybe we'll have a giveaway for the council.
Maybe we'll have a giveaway, right? Give away some.
Yeah, we'll do something fun for you guys, because that's like a lot longer than Jay and I ever expected this shit to go on.
Oh yeah, it's been going on. Yeah,
and so like not be like on our way out yet is pretty cool.
Yeah, to still be growing strong. Our last couple of videos, our Thunder Junction preview video was I think our biggest video we ever made, most views ever.
You guys thundered on our junction, and we really appreciate it.
We thundered on our junction till we outlawed. So
we big scored.
We big score. No, not the big score. Yeah, first, the announcement episode of what we planned on doing something was August 17th. Okay. And our Dominaria preview, if you can even believe it, Dominaria preview was our first episode. That was August 23rd. So
when we were happy for Sheldred.
Yeah, we were looking forward to Sheldred. Yeah, she's
hell yeah, dude. That's awesome.
So we're going way back now. Great project. It's been a great time overall. All right. So that all being said, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us here, and thank you, just for participating. Welcome. If you're in the live chat, hello. If you're in the comments, hello. Let's get into it. This was kind of the ideas we had: sleepers, keepers, and sweepers. We had kind of that idea there of cards that we're going to say farewell to, we're saying goodbye to in a good way, goodbye to in a bad way, and then what are some of the replacements? We're going to have to come up with some ideas, because there's going to be some big holes in where we usually leave these cards in 3 drops, 4 drops, black, a lot of different colors. There's going to be a big impact of
for sure.
What do we do now? Where do we fill this card that's been a staple for, if it came out in Crimson Vow, we've been playing it for 3 years. That's a lot of games. So how do we replace them? How do we start thinking about how to replace them, and where do we go from here? So I think to kick it off, do you want to say a fond farewell or a go to hell farewell to a card? What do you want to start with here?
We have let's start with there goes my hero.
Okay, so here's the one you're gonna miss a lot.
Yeah, let's start with
who's your number one guy.
Maybe not the most, but you know what I mean. Let's do like one of the ones that we're sad to see go. So you want me to do my first one?
Go for yours. Yeah.
All right, I've got Ob Nixilis.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, because you don't play Rakdos that much.
I don't, but when I play like something else, I tend to go for Rakdos.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget when, and obviously you can still do it, but it's not the same in other formats. Like, never forget that first time doing the Sheldred combo with it.
Yeah.
When you like casualty a big creature, and then you play Sheldred, and then you do the -7 on Ob, and it's just a one-shot kill on the opponent. It's freaking awesome, dude.
I'll put up the card, but to be clear,
it's so fun.
Nixilis the adversary.
Yeah, sorry, Ob Nixilis the adversary. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So and really the casualty mechanic in general, that's going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's we didn't have a ton of stuff that was still effective with casualty. Obviously, like people were playing Make Disappear, but it's kind of been replaced by other counter spells already. And Ob was a cool casualty thing as well. So yeah, the casualty mechanic is going to go. So yeah, we're sad to see that go. And Jay and I were like kind of really trying to come up with like a good 3-drop replacement for Ob, and there kind of isn't one.
He's really kind of a unique guy as far as Rakdos. I don't know if we really have any good Rakdos planeswalkers to really go in, and for his sacrifice effect, I just don't know if there's anything really there to kind of he's one that's like, when he goes, it's going to be felt. We're really going to feel this one. Yeah.
I think we were thinking like, there are like cards that might do something that he helps with. So like a lot of times people just play like Urabrask Forge if they're playing red and black. That's like already a sideboard card anyway. He's kind of been replaced by that in some archetypes, especially when they want to go faster and have more pressure. So a lot of people you could, if you had a couple Obs in your deck, it's not going to be as transformative, but you could just play Urabrask Forge. But it's a little more particular that way because Obda did so many different things: discard, making bodies, making you draw 7, lose 7, possibly having 2 of them at a time.
Gain and drain. He
did a lot. He does a lot of stuff where like Forge is just kind of one-dimensional, but it's still good. So it's
it just puts out creatures, and you can sacrifice the creature. Obviously, sacrifice fodder.
Yeah, so if you're still running the sacrifice post rotation, that's going to give you something every turn, which is good. But yeah, so it's interesting. So yeah, we're sad to see Ob go.
Yeah, definitely Ob Nixilis is.
And I know that we haven't used him as much maybe this past year or so because of all the other stuff that came out that we're worried about.
Well, it's an old friend. It's almost magic comfort food. Oh, I'm gonna make a Rakdos. Ob Nixilis is gonna be good in there no matter what.
Yeah, if you're doing him in there, sacrifice, throw in Ob. Even if you're doing like vampires, you still put Ob in there.
Yeah, he's still such a good card. Just to, he's a 2 of,
Yeah, whatever. 2 of. Yeah, perfect amount. I still have a couple copies from a Jund deck that I had him in. So yeah, he's a really fun planeswalker, and I think maybe that is part of why we're gonna miss some extra. Is how Jay was saying there isn't really another planeswalker that's I don't know if there's any standard legal Rakdos planeswalker besides him.
Hopefully we'll see some. Hopefully stay tuned. Upcoming previews, maybe we'll see some Rakdos planeswalkers.
Or just like really good Rakdos something. We're ready for it.
So I will say one of my if we're doing legends, if I can open up in a different direction about a legend that I'm gonna miss.
Yeah, sure.
That also almost irreplaceable. I just don't know. I scoured and I said there's not even a card that does anything remotely to this. That's gonna be Giada. Fonta, what is she called? Giada Font of Grace or something like that. What is she called again?
Giada
Font of Hope. There we go. Yeah, I knew she was Font of something. As a one, I know her card mechanics off the top of my head. 1 white, 1/2/2, flying vigilance. Each other angel you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1, and she ramps. She ramps angels for 1 white mana. So as a 2-drop flying and vigilance, that's already decent. The fact that she ramps angels and makes more angels come in more powerful, angel decks are going to take an absolute kick. I mean, just absolutely punished by not having her around. They're almost unplayable at that point unless you mix them with something else. This made pure angel decks, pure white angel decks, just so effective because it increased their power. It made them come out faster.
Stronger.
It was a good body to have on the board initially. She's just irreplaceable. So it's really going to be kicking the nuts for angel decks.
She was like better Righteous Valkyrie, or not?
Yeah.
Righteous. What was the other one? Youthful Valkyrie.
Youthful Valkyrie. Yeah, she just was so good. I mean, a 2/2 flyer with vigilance for 2 is already, like I said, that's already a good card.
Yeah.
So I'm absolutely going to miss her. There really is not going to be a replacement for Giada. It's going to make it hard to build angel decks going forward. I don't know how much angel support we're gonna have.
I was just thinking about that.
Bloomborough, I don't think we're gonna have almost any angels because it's all forest animals. Maybe they'll throw one in there and it's called like the spirit of the forest, and it's an angel or something, but
like a rabbit angel or something.
Yeah, we had holy cow and all that. So maybe we'll get a couple, maybe like one, but we don't have anything like Kaldheim coming up where it's going to be like, oh yeah, you're getting a lot of angels. Duskmorn maybe, but that's all horror stuff, so I don't think we're going to get. I don't think we're gonna get very much there.
We are gonna get some demons. It seems like
definitely demons, nightmares.
Yeah,
me and Numbskull are so stoked for that. But if you can't tell, we're all about that Duskmorn, man.
It's not time for us to devote a lot of time to it.
It's not yet, but it's
Jay and I have been sending stuff back and forth, and we're like, dude.
Oh yeah, we're already talking about Duskmorn decks. Yeah, it's
down.
I mean, it's a plane of every color, but it's evil, so it's like a haunted house. So it's it's black themed. It's like Crimson Vow or Midnight Hunt, where like black is just going to be so powerful because just the very nature of it.
We will be thriving this fall.
Absolutely. So angel decks, I don't know if we'll ever recover. Rip angel decks. I don't know if angel decks in standard are going to be viable. You're going to have a couple of them to throw in there. A little bit. But as one-ofs, you might have to do like Life Gain Clerics or something. But without her, it's really going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Losing a lot of those angels in New Capenna is going to be huge. So that's one of my that's my probably one of my biggest legendary goodbyes. I'll miss you right there.
Understandable. Yeah, Jada is very efficient, and being able to attack and then still tap for mana is so cool.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, Jada's great. Yeah.
What about one of your hate? Let me hear your top.
You want to do a hate?
Okay. Let's go to a thing that you can go fuck yourself. I'm happy you're gone. I'm glad I never get to see you again. Card.
Yeah.
Who's your top guy? I mean, I know. I mean, everybody probably can guess it, but
yeah. I mean, I am. Yeah, I'm pretty. I think I'm actually happier to see Emperor go than I am Farewell, just because I think it's played more.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
So yeah, I think a lot of the ones that we are happy to see go, I think Jay and I pretty much just like agree on.
We agree on, yeah.
So it's like
I'm gonna let you get Emperor as your number one. Your Emperor's number one hater.
Thank you. Yeah, just because I feel like I go up against it more. Yeah, and also because like that is the problem with Emperor is that obviously it's like really good and it slows down the game and it stops you. It can prevent them from losing whatever, but it's also their win con at the same time. It just does too much to derail what you have going on, and the fact that they can bluff it because of how powerful it is, that's a problem. So yeah, I'm happy to see that go. I don't think there's much of an answer. I think the decks might be forced to like actually main deck like Shark, just to like get more creatures and stuff like that. Some of them actually might start playing Elspeth actually too.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see kind of an Elspeth increase. Azorius control players in shambles at Emperor going. It was their win con. The fact that it can constantly generate tokens, eliminate things, gain life. You played an Azorius shell, basically you're going to have instant protection for it. So even playing main deck removal for it means it's next to impossible to kill in the right deck. It's just they'll never die.
Yeah.
It boosts creatures, generates creatures, and it eliminates creatures. Like it does everything for 4 mana at instant speed. Like, what are we talking about here? So it's just one of those overtuned cards that's just played to death. Everybody knows when somebody has 2 white mana and 2 colorless mana ready to go, and you're attacking, you already know what's going to happen. Yeah. You're walking into it. If they're playing white Azorius Boros and they're holding mana, they've got 4 mana ready to go, and you're attacking. We already know what's going to happen. Come on.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, happy to see that go.
You either think it's going to happen, or you're so worried about it happening
that you hesitate.
It affects how you play and how you take your turn. And you're like more careful. You might not attack with this creature. You might not attack with that creature. And they can always bluff it. And the threat of it is such an issue. I think that's one of the reasons why we have to.
Oh yeah, it's.
I think we have to put it over other cards that we're going to mention later. As
I mean, everyone in chat. If you're in chat, if you're in comments, I know you hate Emperor. Come on, you hate Emperor. You can say that you even play it. You probably hate it and.
You've been along for the ride.
You've been along. You know what it is. You know that Emperor freaking sucks.
Yeah.
And we're happy to see it go.
Yeah.
My number one, believe it or not, if I could say that, I'm so happy. I made memes about this earlier. Because I can't stand this card, because it's one of those cards, as soon as you see somebody play it, you're like, this game is gonna suck, I'm gonna hate playing it, and I just want to scoop. That is fuck ass Memory Deluge. Sorry for swearing, but I hate this card. Fucking Memory Deluge. You're gonna have the worst, most boring game of your life when you see Memory Deluge hit the board on turn 3. You're holding out hope that maybe it's an Azorius Soldiers. Maybe it's maybe
trying to give them the benefit of the doubt,
and they drop Memory Deluge, 2 blue and 2. Look at the top X cards where X is the amount. The fact that you can play Memory Deluge 8 times, you can get 2 cards out of your deck. It doesn't count as, by the way, it completely bypasses Sheldred because it doesn't count as drawing cards. You put them in your hand,
and it doesn't count as searching your library, which is shut down by other effects too. It's
exactly.
Look
at the top X cards. Put 2 of them in your hand and the rest of your bottom.
Other than like a counter spell.
No, there's no way
to do that anyway.
It literally is basically fix your deck.
Yeah.
Put crap at the bottom, put what you want in your hand, and you can cast it 8 times. Good Lord, what a miserable card to play against. Yeah. You know you're about to have a bad time in that. I'm so happy to see that go.
I completely agree.
As a general blue hater and control hater, it is going to cripple control decks, by the way. That's probably the big thing, because it's a linchpin in Azorius control and mono blue control, because they need to make sure they hit their perfect line of draws, and this basically does that. So just with that, I mean, you don't even see Azorius control that much in Alchemy, because Alchemy rotated.
It's already
there's
out,
just not enough. There's just not enough pieces between Wandering Emperor and Memory Deluge being gone in Alchemy. You just don't see it. So it's going to take a big hit. Yeah.
It's definitely pretty nice. And I don't know what they would replace it with. I think there's some like draw 2 cards, draw 3 cards spells.
It's another one of those that there's basic card draw spells, but as far as something that powerful, as far as a game piece that powerful is, I just don't think it's there. I don't think
any of them have flashback. I think that's another
the fact that you can play it functionally 8 times is part of the problem as well, because it just lets you fix your deck
for sure.
So happy to see that one go. Very, very happy to see that one go. Who is continuing with this sweeper sleepers? Keepers and sweepers. Who's your sleeper hit? Who do you think is up and coming that nobody's really playing? Who's your number one draft pick coming up post rotation? He's on the farm team right now. You know, he's hitting his numbers.
He's gonna get called up.
He's gonna get called up to the majors. Who's getting called up to the majors? Who's your sleeper hit? Because I got a couple of sleepers that I feel like people play them, but I think that they're going to be like main decks. I think people maybe play. That's kind of the idea behind the sleepers. Post rotation, they're going to either replace something major, or there's just going to be a huge hole for them to all of a sudden shine, and just absolutely hit.
I think. That's a pretty good question. I guess since we're going to be, I think a lot of the ones that, like, I guess it's going to kind of matter like what we're losing and then what the decks are going to need. But I think like probably you're going to see some more creatures be viable in general, just because we're not worrying about other stuff like Wandering Emperor and things like that.
I think creatures are definitely on the up and up.
So I think that's pretty cool too. I think that I think like a creature like I don't know, like probably like Archfiend of the Dross gets even better.
Oh, you know what you were saying? Aclazotz.
Oh yeah, Aclazotz. Yeah, that's right. Sorry. Yep. I think Aclazotz, and like he's already kind of
he's in there. He's like, in there sometimes.
5-drop, but now it's gonna be like no question, you know. And then also I think Vein Ripper too, because like you don't really have another option.
So for high end black,
yeah, and you know, we do keep Flesh Gorger, which is cool. But yeah, like Vein Ripper and I think Aclazotz, like, and you could maybe, you know, maybe with a few less board wipes that could help us out too. You know,
yeah, and I feel like Aclazotz right now is a specialty card. Like people play it in discard decks occasionally.
Yeah, that's true.
But they're not main decking it every black. I feel like it might become,
if you don't, you know, because of how hard it is to kill, if you don't have to worry about it getting exiled against an entire archetype every time, you're probably going to be more likely to play it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that actually really benefits from the Wandering Emperor leaving.
Absolutely.
Because now it's like they actually have to straight up have another exile card, which there are, but like they don't run a ton of exile cards. I mean, there's Sunfall, of course, but like it doesn't have to get exiled just because it attacked now at instant speed, you know.
Exactly.
Now it might attack and get in for damage still before they get rid of it or whatever. So I think it just makes it a little nicer.
And I think we're losing a lot of black flyers. We're losing a Henrika Damnika.
Yeah, we're losing Henrika. Yep.
You know, we're losing a lot of we're losing quite a few black flyers. Henrika, Junji, we're losing Sorin, which is going to generate black flyers. So as far as a life gaining black flyer, I think he's in that nice spot. He can't be killed by a lightning bolt. You know, he's you know, you red is going to have a little bit more hard time dealing with him.
Red scoops usually if it gets that far.
Yeah,
if they haven't killed you yet and it's turn 5 and you're slamming that and you're gonna start gaining 4 life every turn, they're like, all right, you got it. You know,
exactly, because he dies and comes back as well. So even if they blast him, he's.
I like it because he's kind of like an omen. It's like, hey, you know, we're still here, and I just played this card, and you probably can't answer it right now, and it's just like he's just gonna take over now, and you have to deal with it. You know, so he's good. He's good.
He's good, and again, he's playing AAA ball right now, but I think he's. I don't even say that. I'd say he's minor league. I think he's about to get major.
Well, AAA is right up against majors. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know anything about sports.
But yeah, he's right there. He's like in the all-star game of the AAA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's ready.
He's ready to go in. Definitely.
He's coming up for the playoffs.
I think
that was actually, and what Jay said with Junji, that was another card that I was going to be saying goodbye to also is Junji, and my answer for him for what you use instead is Aclazotz, even though a lot of people don't play Junji, but you know.
You play Junji. Well, yeah, talk about your like number 2 would be Junji, you're saying.
Yeah, number 2 would be Junji. Just because he's like he's become like a freaking like pet card for me, kind of, you know. I mean, it's a great reanimator's you know, ability that he has too. Or just making him discard, whatever. Like he has options. He kind of lines up fairly well with Aclazotz. But Aclazotz just does more stuff because of his attack trigger and because of making other creatures. So Aclazotz is and the life gain I think is really important. So like if Junji had like lifelink, he would be crazy. But yeah, we are gonna miss Junji. We used him in a lot of fun reanimator decks.
Absolutely.
We made people discard with him. We did all kinds of stuff, and just a lot of times he's just a big flyer.
And that's sometimes, he's menacer too, isn't he? He's hard
flying
to block.
And menace, like very hard to block. Because like how many times do people, unless you're playing like an angel deck like Jay was talking about, how many times is your opponent gonna have 2 flyers?
Yeah, and 2 flyers enough to kill him on the attack.
Yeah, exactly. 2 flyers that they actually want to block with. And they could kill him, you know, like it's rather unlikely. So yeah, his evasion was really cool. And he was probably a great 5-drop for a long time. And I think if Invoke Despair wasn't in the same set, he would have got a little more love also, you know, which obviously we're Those are technically rotating, but like not really because they're gone already.
They're already banned.
But like that and Meat Hook, like I mean, if those were legal, I think Jay and I would just like each talk about one for a few minutes.
We're already grieving about Meat Hook and Invoke Despair. And I was talking about it last night on my stream about how unfair Black got bans. And so many other busted ass cards stayed. Wandering Emperor stayed. Farewell
stayed
Sunfall.
The whole time.
They were like, no, these are perfectly fine. Black, you get some of your best game pieces removed because
insane.
Because fuck you. That's why, you know.
Because what's the strongest color?
Oh, black. It's the darkness.
See.
See. As far as speaking of black, and I'm going to tail into that into one of my sleeper cards.
Okay, yeah,
off of Junji. Again, we're keeping it casual, kind of moving around here.
Sure.
I think that I've played this card and I've been satisfied with it every time. I've not had a bad experience with it, and I don't think anybody but me plays it. It's a real sleeper. Lively Dirge. First of all, it has Gisa on the art, which is great.
Nice.
It is a spree. It is an uncommon.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's points in its favor. So for 1 black and 3, you don't even need the other black. So that's why it melds so nicely with other colors, because it's not like, oh, you have to play 4 black.
Yeah.
1 black and 3, you get to return up to 2 creature cards with a total mana value from your graveyard to the battlefield directly. There used to be that one that was called, I can't remember what it was called. It was called, damn. It brought stuff that was a grand total of 3 CMC back.
Oh yeah, it was a 3-mana spell.
Yeah.
And you comboed it with Archfiend Vessel or something like that.
Yeah. The more stuff you brought back, the more. Here, I'm gonna look it up right now.
And if he came out of the graveyard, he was a 5/5 demon instead of a 1/1.
Exactly.
That guy, that one.
Used to bring Railroad back. So
I still have that deck upstairs.
Oh yeah, I still have him in some of my historic decks.
That was so fun.
Call of the Death Dweller. That's what it was.
Yeah,
this is kind of like this is kind of like a different Call of the Death Dweller. People might say it's a little weaker because it's more expensive and it doesn't give you the additional effect to give Death Touch and Menace.
You can go up a mana though. It's pretty good.
But for 1 more mana, you get the flexibility of bringing back a total CMC 4. People are missing this. This will immediately return a Sheldred to the battlefield.
Yeah.
You put 4 of them in there and 4 Sheldreds. You've got 8 Sheldreds because they'll kill it, and you can immediately, okay, my turn. Guess what? She's back.
Yeah, it's like giving your Sheldred like Unearth or something, but it also doesn't die.
It does exactly.
If they kill it again.
And the fact that we can bring 2 cards back, we could bring a Vadmir and a Vran back to the board.
Yeah. Boom. Yeah, that's decent.
That's a lot of board presence for an uncommon 4-drop spell. Like, okay, Vadmir, and you also get the additional ability. You can search for a card and specifically put it in your library, then return it. This actually lets you summon a Sheldred out of your deck for 5 mana.
Yeah, that's technically like tutor and put a Sheldred on the board. Yeah, I didn't think about it. Yeah, so it's kind of like Beseech the Mirror in a way.
It's a secret Beseech the Mirror. People aren't realizing it, that it's like a 5-drop Beseech the Mirror. I know there's a 4 limitation. Yeah, the poor man's Beseech.
It doesn't cost $20.
Exactly. It's an uncommon. It's easier on your wild cards. It's easier in your wallet. And also you could immediately put a Archfiend of the Dross on the board and then swing in for a big attack.
It's decent,
and get him off the hits on there, man, for a 5-mana finisher. A lot of utility, a lot of flexibility. I don't see a lot of people playing it. I think it's up and coming.
I think there's going to be a modern deck that plays it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So I definitely that's one that I personally have been very satisfied with. I really like that card, and I think it's going to get more and more prevalent, especially with Takenuma leaving as well. So that's one of my sleepers.
Because that's I know you can reduce the cost of Takenuma, but if you had to pay a full Takenuma, you're actually like, you could use Lively Dirge for the 4 mana. That's kind of arguably better than a Takenuma, I guess. You know what I mean?
It can potentially be very good. Yeah.
It doesn't double as a land, but still, it's
you know, we can't have everything.
No, sure. No, I totally get it. But yeah, for an uncommon, I think it's solid because Takenuma is an expensive card now too.
Exactly. So it's a great little card to sneak into paper. It's a great card for your just general black deck.
Probably good for a commander deck, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can definitely get something out of there,
especially in a singleton format. That's got to be good.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's start the hate train again. No, okay. So I want to hear another one that you are happy to see go.
Okay. Oh man.
I'll do one of my haters.
I know we were talking about make disappear. I think that's what I'm looking at, like, because I just that has been a problem for me for a long time.
Yeah, honestly, I think you're right about that one. I think we can put that on a haterade list right there.
It's just, dude, like, come on. It's just, yeah. I think like it's either got to be like Fading Hope or make disappear. I think the make disappear has become even more of a big thing, and I think it's even more frustrating. And the biggest thing about it is, it allows decks to splash blue and still have a really good counter spell. So like, it's part of what made like the Dimir decks really good for a while and like so hard to beat. Because like they don't get to run like No More Lies like the Azorius decks are running, which is a better counter spell. But because they actually play permanents, they were getting like crazy value they were basically time walking you with make disappear, like kind of earlier in the game as they tempoed you out.
Yeah, the fact that you could be running a counterspell or pay 4, especially early mid game, to just lock you out.
It's effectively just a regular counterspell.
It's just a counterspell, and like you said, it's at 1 blue mana. I think that was their mistake. If it was 2 blue, I feel like it would be much less useful. But that flexibility, because you'll see that in red aggro decks, they'll just throw them in there just to fuck you over. You know?
I think
you can splash it anywhere.
Some of those some of the more controlling ones. I know a lot of in like Explorer they use Spell Pierce because it's more efficient, but still but just having that little splash of blue is just enough to light up a deck running counter spells and effectively like have protection. And I just, I didn't like how many counter spells I ran into because of that. Absolutely. I didn't like having to not take my turn on turn 2 because they might have a make disappear. It's just like, I don't want to do this,
Exactly. It is a pain in the ass card.
Yeah, and then I have to hope I have other stuff to play. Otherwise, I'm just going to be screwed, and then I get out tempoed. Also, I think it allowed the decks to like be kind of lazy.
It did. Control always leans to lazy play, which is kind of how you beat them because they're not paying attention. They're used to just auto clicking everything.
Yeah, and also it's like still crazy to me that card's a common.
Yeah, well, Phantom Interference is kind of the new one from OTJ because that does counter target spell unless its controller plays 2.
Oh, that one. It's a spree, right?
Yeah, it's a spree one, and it's not as good. That's kind of would be the replacement I think you're going to see up because you can't sacrifice up to the 4. You can only do the 2, so it loses some utility in the late game that make disappear kind of had.
It is full tempo.
Yeah, it is. This one is a great early counter spell, but by turn 6, if I'm dropping a Sheldred, it's you're just not going to work anymore. So I think it's less tricky. It's kind of a powered down version. So I think make disappear leaving is generally a good thing for the anti-control environment.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think some of the decks are running disruption protocol too, but it does force you to lean more heavily into blue, which I'm not even as mad about that because it's like you should have to do that if you're, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to counter the spells, like actually counter it, yeah, you should have to care. You should need to have like more than one island. I don't know.
Exactly.
Because the actual counter spell is 2 blue anyway. So like
exactly. So,
and we're not saying that any of these spells are better than actual counter spell. So make disappear being 1 colorless and a blue, it in some situations can make it better than a regular counter spell because of the flexibility.
Exactly. So
not overall, but some situations,
Yeah, and
standard.
There's a decent replacement, but there's not a perfect replacement, which is good.
Yeah. So I'm happy to see that go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree 100% on that. I have a surprising hater card that I hate on now.
Ooh, okay.
That I'm really tired of seeing and I don't like facing. And it's one of those cards, again, when you see it drop on turn 1, you're like, fuck me, man. All right, here we go. Kumano faces Kakazan. I'm so happy to see it go, man. It's the little brother of Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
It's aggro Fable.
It's aggro Fable. You already know what you're in for. As turn 1, this drops. 1 red mana as an opening play. It's probably Red's best opening gambit right now. 1 damage to each opponent and planeswalker they control. Then whenever you cast your next creature, it comes in with +1 on it. So now you're talking about beefing up aggro on turn 2. You're coming in for even more damage on turn 2. And then turn 3, you get the Etchings of Kumano, which is a 2/2 haste creature that you functionally got for 1 red mana. And then the most terrible effect for a mono black Resurrector player like me, talking about, playing Lively Deluge or even Root Stacks, if a creature dealt damage this turn as a source you control would die, exile it instead. This functionally exiles everything that you have dies when it dies. It can't come back.
It's bad.
On burn decks, this is brutal because we have a lot of death triggers. So when you start killing people, when you have Vran, when you have Greedy Freebooter, you're crippled by the fact that none of your black cards can get a on death effect. Even white cards, even something like what's that one, the Battle Cry Bat Lady, whatever her name is, that she creates a bat on death. Any kind of exit the battlefield effect is negated, or when this creature dies, you do XYZ, is just completely negated by the fact that this exiles everything. It doesn't go to your graveyard. You don't get the on death effect. Terrible. By turn 3, once it's flipped, you have to focus removal on this thing to get rid of it. It is just the perfect. It's like the perfect red spell. It just gives them so much utility that you can't even. You've got to do something about it. And mono red doesn't need any help right now. So the fact that they are losing a great turn 1 drop right there, especially considering everything else that they have, this is going to power down mono red in standard for sure. I've played the card. I'm not saying that it's a bad card. I'm saying I'm happy to see it go. It's time. It's time to get you to bed, Kumano. You're up too late, man. Sanguine Evangelist is the one I'm thinking of. So I'm happy to see Kumano go. I'm happy to see Kumano go. I don't think anyone is really... I mean, mono red players will miss it, but I don't think anybody who ever plays standard is going to really be sad.
You want to know some good news about if you're a mono red player and you're sad about it leaving standard? It is very easy for you to play almost the exact same deck in Pioneer, and it's arguably better. Because it uses half the cards are the standard cards right now anyway. It just runs some like older spells, and you can play I think there's like better burn spells too, maybe. So like, but a lot of the cards are standard cards in the Pioneer mono red. So like, if you really hate it that much, just go play it in another format because it's virtually the same deck.
So mono red enjoyers, head on that way. Hit the bricks. Head on over to Timeless or Historic.
Explore whatever
it's called. I don't know.
And I'm gonna agree with Jay on this. I'm counting the mana in my head. Like, all right, so enter the battlefield, do a damage to the player and a planeswalker. That's kind of like an End the Festivities effect almost. So that's 1 mana right there. Add a counter on a creature that comes in. That's 1 mana. That's worth at least 1 mana in my opinion. It might not be a good use of 1 mana, but it's worth 1 mana.
It's worth 1 mana.
And then you get the creature the next turn 2/2 haste, and you have the static ability of the exiling things that are dealt damage by sources you control. That is 2 mana. I think
that is easy 2 mana.
That's an easy 2 mana, like solid red creature that people would run. But because you paid 1 mana for it and you effectively got 4 mana worth of stuff, it's an auto include 4 of in every mono red deck.
It's Value City USA.
Rakdos aggro, like any aggro deck that runs red, unless you're like Dinos, you're gonna play Kumano.
Yeah, it's an auto include. And that's kind of what my thing is.
Really
is like these auto includes. We got to shake up the format now.
And that's why Fable got banned, was because of the amount of value that. Well, and because a lot of because Kumano's only 1 red, so it's similar to how Fable was 1 red, and it made it. It was the case that like it was so easy for any deck to splash red, kind of like how we're talking about Make Disappear. Decks can, and that was part of the reason that Fable was Fable got banned. It was like. X red decks.
It was everything was becoming Grixis.
Red. Yeah.
It was mono black decks with like we said, it was mono black decks with a Kumano or a Fable and 4 counter spells, but the rest was
Make Disappear.
Black. Yeah. Those Make Disappear and Kumano in there because they were just so unbalanced, and then the rest was just black tech. And it's like, oh well, it's his Grixis. Yeah, Grixis in name. You have 4 cards, but
and then Fable gave you the tokens to where you could still play Invoke Despair in the deck before they banned that too, obviously. So you didn't even like have to have good mana because Fable made it so easy. So you didn't even like, I don't know. I think that was interesting. So yeah, I think Kumano, for how easily slotted in it is to aggro decks, maybe because it's an uncommon and maybe because control's good right now. And, maybe it's good that they're leaving at the same time. So we don't have to deal with a time period where Kumano is just like way too strong because there's no control to keep it in check, Yeah. Maybe it's good that that some of these cards are like Memory Deluge and Emperor are leaving at the same time as like Kumano. Like maybe that's a good thing, and we don't need to have extra of one or the other more than we may already have, And
there isn't a replacement for Kumano. It is stands alone.
I don't
as an amazing card that is just there's nothing else that's going to flop in there and give you that level of value.
Maybe they're running the new enchantment that you can plot that they all put on Slick Shot. It's not the same, but like that's a 1 mana thing you could play.
That's a 1 mana. That's a turn 1 play that's really good because
they'll play Swift Spear, or you can plot it on turn 1, whatever,
Yeah.
But you could play a Swift Spear, but a lot of the decks like to play Kumano first, then play the Swift Spear.
Exactly.
Kind of, Yeah, and there isn't a 1 mana red card that gets you that much value. I'll definitely tell you that.
No way.
So we may see a shift towards the red deck running like all 1 and 2 mana spells and almost being that like I don't want to say storm, but like the Slick Shot show up I think has to be relied on more now as the actual win con because you don't get to set up the way you did. You have to set up differently, but you want to have like a ton of 1 mana spells I think now. So you just like run your shocks and play with they're losing play with fire too.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I guess is Shock going to be out also?
No, Shock is almost evergreen. Like Shock is yeah.
They just keep it's like Duress, like they just always reprint it to make it a staple.
Yeah. It's just one of those that just is always around.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, like you can play your Shocks, but like you're gonna lose play with fire too. So like, but you're gonna need to play a lot of 1 mana spells, I think, to make Slick Shot go off. But you're gonna have to lean into that more because it's not as you don't have that turn 1 setup like you normally did. So it'll be interesting. I'm sure red will still be like solid, but it'll have to do something else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you want me to do? You want me to do another card that I'm sad to see?
Yeah, let me see a sad guy.
Another one. I am. So we talked about what Junji and Ob. I am sad to see the underdog go. Tenacious Underdog.
Ooh, yeah.
It was a good card for a long time, and he was like for like about a year, he was like the 2-drop that you run. He was the guy.
Yeah.
The blitz ability I thought was pretty sick.
I was actually, believe it or not, I didn't like him at first. It took me a while for him to grow on me.
I think we needed to get enough cards around him that made it work. But yeah, constant threat,
Yeah. And I think that probably one of the most interesting parts of him is that, like you said, the cards around him, he lives with Sheldred because he offsets that 2 every turn.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So, he just lives with Sheldred because you're going to be able to offset that life loss. It's oh, well, I have to take 2 every turn to swing in. No, like, you're fine. You just go for it, even.
So he turns into like a 4-mana lightning bolt cantrip draw a card type deal, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you're top decking lands and that's all you can do, then screw it.
Yeah.
And then you just keep drawing cards until you find something better to do. And he made it so you could filter through a lot of stuff, and he made that easier,
Mm-hmm.
There isn't quite a card like him that I think would replace him, but a big 2-drop that I've been running in mono black now. Well, Deep Cavern Bat is just huge. But also I do like my crimes deck. So Vadmir's been pretty sick.
Yeah, he's a good 2-drop. I don't think we're ever. It's rare that we get, because Blitz has haste, right?
Yeah, blitzing is haste, and he gets to draw a card, and you can do it from the grave. It's just like, I don't know if we're gonna have that again.
Yeah, it's hard to come up with a good replacement for him because there's just not a lot of black. Black gets haste very rarely.
Yeah,
very rarely you'll get a black haste card. It's like one of those, they call it like a tertiary effect. It's in its toolbox, but it's way back there.
Yeah,
it's not like red.
It's infrequent.
Yeah, like green. Like the number 1 person that gets haste is red. I think green is the second.
Probably second, yeah.
And black is every now and then you get something like Rankle, who has haste for some reason.
Yeah.
Or these blitz cards, and you'll see it very occasionally on black cards. So
yeah,
that's definitely one that's a black staple, obviously.
Yeah, and a lot of decks aren't running him as much anymore. I still think he's good. I think Bat's kind of taken over. Especially for like the type of deck that you might want to run. And also I think Sunfall has made that a little more obsolete too.
Well, Sunfall's going too.
No, Sunfall's not going.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Sunfall. Farewell.
Yeah, Farewell, which we're happy about that. But Sunfall will still be a thing, so it makes it kind of tough. He has to have like already died for Sunfall to, you know what I mean? But then you still lose everything else anyway, and it's like, well. But before Sunfall, he was eaten, dude. He was, you know what I mean? It was so easy. You could run him in a sack deck too, because you didn't mind. You didn't mind doing that on turn 4 in a sack deck, because you already have other permanents, and you're doing that, and you're drawing more cards, and you don't mind. So, yeah, I think we're gonna miss Underdog. He's a cheap card too. Like I think when I got him, he was like a couple dollars. So it was easy to get him in my paper decks. It wasn't a problem. He always performed, so we'll miss him. Underdog put up a hell of a fight, did his job, and we're going to try to make big Vadmirs now and make Vadmir like a freaking like 10/10 with Lifelink and Menace, because that's crazy.
Oh yeah, we're going to have to.
He doesn't have the unique thing like Underdog, but he can get so big. And if they don't deal with him and he's like a freaking 10/10 swinging, it gets pretty crazy.
Yeah, it gets very unpleasant.
Lifelink and Menace is kind of cool. And then even if they do kill him, oh, you killed my 2-drop. What am I going to do? I still have this shoulder.
Exactly.
It's like,
yeah,
so he's
nobody wants to waste resources.
Yeah, he snowballs. You know what I mean? So it's nice. And it's really easy to make him a 3/3 on ETB with how easy it is to commit crimes. So like that's cool. So I think Vadmir is legit, but I think that for what it does to the game, I think Bat is still a little bit better right now. But it also depends on the kind of deck that you want to run. I would definitely put it that way. So yeah, we're sad to see him go, but we do like our vampires. So can I offer you a Vadmir in this trying time?
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, don't sleep on the Bat either, though. The Bat is just ridiculous, and it's an uncommon. So, and both cards, actually, I think the Bat, even as an uncommon, costs more than Vadmir right now as a rare, which is kind of messed up.
It is crazy. Well, I think part of the problem is that there's a
it's the demand.
It's probably one of the best ways to shut down a deck right now is to start removing pieces. Discard is probably one of the best tools.
I think discard's really good, and discard's really good in a lot of formats right now. All the way down to modern and like legacy.
Yeah, I just think that it's probably one of the better combination plays to just immediately stop whatever major pieces that they have. The fact that you get to select what goes away and then they have to pick a turn to get rid of it, blah 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 blah. It's such a good card. It really is amazing. So what did I have? Speaking of black staples, the one I'm gonna miss, and I know you're gonna miss her too. Probably one of my most played black cards of all time. But I have a good replacement, and that is going to be the Graveyard Trespasser. Oh, Wolfgorl. Wolfgorl, what are you doing? You gotta leave us like this. We love you, Wolfgorl.
Thankfully, you're still played in Eternal formats because you're that good, but we will miss you.
We will absolutely. It was such a boon in Standard. It was perfect. It was the perfect 3-drop. It was the perfect black 3-drop. It gained and drained. It had a forced discard if you wanted to remove it. It was a nice beefy 3/3. That forced discard if you wanted to kill it. It gained and drained every turn. It could turn into a 4/4.
It punished decks that don't do anything.
Yeah, it punished it. Yeah, it absolutely did. It forced interaction. It killed Reanimator decks. It's every time that you entered or swung. If it was nighttime, you got 2 of them. You got the 4/4 and got to eat 2 cards. You gain and drain life out of. You could gain and drain huge amounts of life. It was one of the, like I call it, the Swiss Army cards. It just did everything as far as black card goes.
It was like the essence of black.
It was discard, gain and drain. Graveyard removal. It was just so much utility for a 3-drop. Oh yeah, she just did it, man. She just,
and being
really
non-legendary, so you could
exactly. You could have multiple of her on the board.
Ridiculous. Like, I think in any game where I've ever seen someone have like 3 Graveyard Trespassers, I'm pretty sure they won.
Yeah, it's because you just eventually run out of stuff to kill her with.
Yeah,
you have to discard every single time that you want to affect her.
Yeah.
It's going to become impossible to ever do anything. You're just never going to get it. I absolutely am going to miss her. I think that a suitable replacement. I think that this guy used to be in kind of, this is who I'm farm teaming right now. This is my number 1 prospect for the black 3-drop.
Okay.
I'm going to lean right into him because I've started using him, and originally he was in my rat decks because he's a rat, and that's Lord Skitter.
Yeah.
He's getting called up to he's starting to show up in every single one of my decks. He's starting to, if it's not rat related, I put him in a legendary, just a black legendary.
He's really good in legendary, dude. Yeah.
And he was scoring points.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
He is, the reason being, he commits a crime every single turn.
It's great.
He eats graveyards. He's a 3/3. He fits right in nicely into that 3/3 spot as a 3/3. He doesn't have the ward, but he generates a creature that's available for sacrifice every single turn, generates a 1/1 rat creature that you can use for sacrifice plays every turn or apply pressure every turn, or just build board. And he commits a crime and he eats graveyard. So he hits Reanimator. He is very tough on, he triggers for any of your crime focus decks. Like, his best buddy is going to be Vadmir and Karavik, because he's going to trigger every single time.
Yeah.
Even what's that skeleton? The Restless Miner is going to trigger.
The 1 mana. Yeah.
The 1 mana miner. He's going to be able to come back every single time.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was a rat guy. He was just a rat kind of tribal type of card. I think he's up and coming. I think he's going to be a black mainstay.
I think he just got so much better with crime coming in.
Yeah.
And like mono black legends, or even like Golgari legends, or I've seen him in Esper legends too. I've seen him kind of in a few different decks. And I've seen him in sideboards as well, because there were a lot of decks that put Graveyard Trespasser in the sideboard if they had to worry about the graveyard. So now it's kind of turned into, I'm going to do Lord Skitter because then I can go wide. I have sacrifice fodder. I have extra creatures. I can, I can attack with them. I can do whatever. We have the bargain ability in Standard, which is like kind of like fancy casualty. So that's a thing. So like you have like Beseech. Like I think he's really good with Beseech too. I know we were talking about that card earlier. You could, you'll get your 2 rat tokens by the time you could beseech on turn 4. So you just sack one and put a shoulder on the board. There you go.
Exactly.
That's pretty sick, And he gave you that rat virtually for free, and he still took the card out, and you still have another rat. I would gladly trade 4 mana and a rat to go get a shouldered and put it on the battlefield.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think there's something to be said for, or like put a bloodletter on the board because we're gonna go wide, whatever, I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think it's pretty solid. So yeah, definitely happy for Lord Skitter. I'm glad he's having his day. He's earned it.
Definitely. I think that is definitely one that you're gonna see more and more frequently. I just I did, and honestly, I kind of just threw him in there because I needed a crime, and he just had so much utility. I mean, you put him with Braids. Braids has a sack outlet every single turn now too.
Yeah,
you put him with anything. You put him in Rakdos where you need you need more sacrifices or whatever. He's just he's up and coming. He's up and coming. So
he's really good. And I think what we were talking about with like, do they want to kill Vadmir earlier? Like, and then you have this other thing. Well, sometimes I'll have a Vadmir and him out, and they'll kill him before they kill the Vadmir. So that works out pretty well for me because my Vadmir just keeps getting larger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they know now that he procs crime every single time. He's going to immediately trigger crime.
So he'll give me the trigger for it, but I'm a crime deck. I'm going to do it other ways too. So it definitely creates a little bit of a catch-22 for the opponent. And then even because I mean these crime decks, they're going to have a really good curve out, like literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because they're going to go either some type of duress or whatever on turn 1. Or Tiny Bones joins up, and then Vadmir, Lord Skitter, Sholdred, Akhlazats. Like, ideally. You know what I mean? Maybe Hostile Investigator, too, because that card's really good, and that's also a crime. But because of this perfect curve out, it really creates a situation of, like, man, if I only have one removal spell, I know they're going to play Sholdred. What do I actually remove here? Because none of my choices feel good. So it's interesting. Yeah, I think it I think him being legendary is actually helpful because of the legends archetype that we have going. That's like kind of decent right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm happy that he's getting his call up. I think he has some shoes to fill and he's ready to fill them. We'll miss Trespasser, but I am gonna keep my one of Graveyard Trespasser in my mono black Pioneer deck.
There you go.
I keep her there for it's my emotional support Graveyard Trespasser. I also have an emotional support Shoulder.
I miss her. I already miss her. She hasn't rotated.
Yeah. But I run it against like aggro decks. So like when I play mono red, I play Trespasser. When I play against like Gruul, I'll play Trespasser too. A little bit of life gain, solid blocker, and hard for them to remove because they don't always have a lot of cards. So she's a good answer. So yeah, we'll definitely miss you, Graveyard Trespasser. You've been awesome.
Oh yeah, she's been great.
You've been awesome. Do you want me to talk about another card? I'm gonna go off the rest of the list here. The last one, I think it's on the list. Cards that we hate.
Yeah, let's finish as haters, man. Let's
I think we both feel strongly about this one too.
Oh yeah. What's on your number haterade?
We've got Rafine.
Oh, fucking Rafine.
Yeah. We've got
anything Rafine related is who is sad about Rafine? You tell me the person that's sad about I'm not gonna be able to play Rafine.
Like the Esper players aren't even that upset about it because
I don't even think God, yeah, Rafine.
I think they were just glad it didn't get banned, which I totally could have seen it getting banned.
Yeah, it could have very easily gotten banned. First of all, let's throw a subset. Rafine's Tower. I made another meme. I was on Twitter. Point of view, you're about to have the worst game of your life.
Oh, turn one,
Rafine's Tower. Yeah, point of view, you're about to waste 20 minutes to lose.
Love it.
Yeah, that's Rafine right there. Rafine's Tower is bad, and Rafine is bad. So, you know, that's pretty much how I feel about it. The fact that Connive is a very, very, very powerful ability.
Agreed.
And the fact that she can increase card draw and discard in case you're running Reanimator. She lets you freely put stuff in your graveyard. She lets you freely discard things. She lets you constantly card draw, give more and more stuff. The fact that she's got just enough annoying ward to
all about tempo.
Exactly. She out tempos things with just this right amount of ward. You know, she is just she's just doing big things. She's just she's just a pain in the ass to kill her. And if you can't get her with the cut down right away because you don't have enough mana, then she's going to become out of cut down range for boosting herself or whatever. The fact that she triggers on somebody else's attack, you know what I mean?
That was always crazy to me.
That is crazy. So you put her down and you get her, you activate her Connive because somebody else attacked.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she is just a pain in the ass. Her and her tower, good riddance. One of those new Capenna cards that's just like, you know, I've played her too. I played her in card draw. There's pretty good Esper card draw type of stuff.
Absolutely.
And I've put her in there, but
getting her on the board with Shoulder is like GG.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The pairing with Sheldred on top of everything else. You know, she's just bad. She just makes, I mean, Esper Control, we know Esper Control it's going to ruin your life. It's going to take forever. They've got 15 board wipes. They've got 20 removals. They've got 20 counter spells and Rafine. It's just sad.
It was just crazy also because like Esper Control could play her and Esper Midrange could play her technically.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I was like, dude, this sucks.
And she was one of those cards. People would just put a blue in there in Azorius just so they could, you know, just so they could do something with her.
Or it'd be like Dimir Splash White and they run that and like the 2-drop and like a Gonjo. I forget the 2-drop's name. The one that has Disturb. The human. It doesn't let you target graveyards.
I can't remember that one. Oh, yeah. What's his name? The guardman or whatever his name was.
Yeah, I have him in my
Kenrick or something. Kenrick, the stalwart protector. Yeah, he comes back as a ghost. I can't remember.
Yeah, he's a 2/3 and then he comes back as a 3/2 flyer. Seeing if I can find him real quick here. Wait, I just scroll right by him. And he's gonna rotate out too, by the way. So
yeah, he's gone too. That's farewell to him as well.
To us. Wait, am I looking at the right stuff? I need blue. He's blue and white.
He's Azorius, yeah.
Yeah, I know that. Where is he? Dennick.
Dennick, yeah, I knew he was a
Dennick, Pious Apprentice. And he turns into a spirit soldier that flies. But yeah, he doesn't let you target graveyards. So that's I always hated that. But yeah, they kind of just like splash for that, and then Rafine, and then like a Gonjo, like, and it allows for and the mana's been so good in standard for a while that decks can get away with it. And then it does the Esper Legends thing where you get access to 3 different crazy value spell lands basically with Otawara, Gonjo, and Takenuma, and you're doing them all for as cheap as 1 mana, which is unreal. You know, and it's to the point where like the deck was literally running them as spells. They would play like 4 Otawara and like 4 Takenuma and like 4 Gonjo, and then they would just main deck Thalia. So they're only playing creatures, but then the Otawara, is your bounce spell. A Gonjo is your removal spell. Takenuma is your get stuff back spell, and then you just like overrun them.
Exactly.
It became too easy for them for a while. I think we've gotten like, because of just regular control getting better and the life gain decks that we have, I think it kind of slowed down the Esper control, but I think we'll be happy, and I'm sure they're going to print something that's going to keep it good, but we'll be happy to just get rid of Rafine in general, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's gonna big hit to Esper control and Esper in general, which is always an annoying color to see. Like I said, Rafine's tower hitting the board is, you have the option of spending 20 minutes for a 20% chance at a win, or just scooping, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, it's not a ton of fun. So I totally get, people being ready for it to go, because I think I'm ready. So
yeah.
I'll
say my last hater card.
Okay.
And I think you agree with me on this. Farewell.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I wanted to leave that to you. Yeah.
Farewell to Farewell. I mean, They have too many options. First of all, Sunfall's not going anywhere unless they ban it, and they should have banned it.
Yeah.
It's an overtuned card. Farewell is a game reset. Farewell completely just cleans. It is a smooth, clean board aside from manas. There's no graveyard, there's no enchantments, there's no planeswalkers, there's no creatures. At the very least, Sunfall, you get to keep some enchantments, maybe they generate creatures, or you get planeswalkers or whatever. It's not great at exiles, but the fact that everything is removed from the game, literally every aspect of the game.
Yeah, it's tough.
The fact that you're even playing Magic, aside from manas, it could just be people having lunch. It's like I said, it is a slick board that it leaves you with.
Yeah.
The fact that it's modal, that they can choose what they want, or they can just go whole hog on turn 6.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you ramp, you can get it out earlier. You can get it turn 4, turn 5. It's just a miserable card. Again, one of those cards that just bogs the game down. You hit turn 6 and they go farewell. I said, I'm going to be here for another 20 minutes.
I know.
And by that time, they have so many cards in their hand that they can counterspell everything, remove everything, or keep playing counterspells. It is just, you don't have any resurrection options. You don't really have any options other than to just kind of muscle through it, and just kind of, it's like an endurance test, man. It's, it's just such an unfun. Here's the thing. It's unfun. It's not fun to play against. Let's be honest. It is not an engaging card to play against. It is not fun. It does not lead to more Magic being played. It leads to less Magic being played.
Definitely less desire for Magic to be played.
It's certainly that, but the fact that every single one of your pieces is just knocked off the board and you're left with mana. You had to play conservatively around it. If someone was playing Azorius or Mono White and not playing anything, you knew that they were building up. It was such a critical control piece. You had to worry about the turn 6 farewell. You had to hold pieces in your hand. You had to hold cards, and you had to. It warped the format around it.
Yeah, definitely.
As soon as you saw those decks. So, hate farewell. Good to see it go. Farewell to Farewell.
Get out of here.
That's another one that we're just not gonna miss.
Yeah, agreed. I'm not gonna. I don't think it's played quite as much anymore, but I'm still glad that people won't have the.
We don't even have the option. Exactly, they're not even having the chance to play it. So
I mean, it's just like now it's like you're just looking for Sunfall as the one that's like the biggest problem. Something I don't love, and we'll get to it in another episode when there's more info about it. But we're gonna be having a reprint of Day of Judgment. And
it's going to be eternal for 5 years.
It's going to be legal in standard for 5 years, and we'll maybe elaborate more on that in a different episode. But
we'll do a Foundations episode.
Perfect, yeah. So that's the new thing coming. Feel free to Google it now, but we will have an episode coming out about it when we get more info.
We don't really have that much info other than it exists.
Yeah, we know what's going to happen. We know about a few cards, and we know it's going to be legal for 5 years, and
maybe more.
Sometime in November, from what I understand. That's about all we know. So we're gonna wait a little bit, because we would like to devote a full episode to it, and maybe new standard at that time, or what it will actually look like. And then until then, we'll just bring you spoilers and stuff. We're kind of initiating like somewhat of a new standard type of things. We're talking about rotation, then we'll have spoilers, and then that'll lead us into whatever, and it'll be a perpetual spoilers for a while, and then we'll probably lead you into more info for Foundations. So,
I'm happy that they're doing something that's like a course for Foundations, and also I think the idea is to get more value out of standard cards, meaning that you don't have to rotate all. You know, the biggest, I think they surmised the biggest problem with standard was rotation.
Yeah,
and that you needed to constantly have fresh cards.
Yep.
And people just weren't buying it. So foundations maybe will help that. Maybe the rotation will help. I'd love to see standard in a better place.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think the rotation helped very much. I think that was a band-aid on a different issue, but foundations sound like it could be a fix.
Foundation's gonna be cool. Just it's, you know, it all, and I always say this, like, it depends on how they roll it out. So this is gonna be depending on what cards are in Foundation. Right now, I'm not loving what I see from the 5 or 6 cards.
Oh yeah, they have some real powerful stuff. Yeah.
I'm not loving seeing a Day of Judgment and an Omniscience in there.
No, that's not super fun. Hopefully the format will take care of those.
Yeah.
And it won't be too bad.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. So that's definitely something that we're going to keep an eye on for sure. Yeah.
Well, we have upcoming. That's our rotation retrospective. We have upcoming Bloomborough spoilers. I think next week. I think next Tuesday or next Friday is Bloomborough the stream, or the 9th. Yeah, so next Tuesday is the Bloomborough like announcement. So we'll have a bunch of cards out. I don't know if we'll have enough for our top 10, but maybe we can do a early Bloomborough / Duskmorn talk about it. And then, of course, we're going to be doing our top 10 this month. So stay tuned if you want to see our Bloomborough top 10 of us hesitantly and sheepishly picking a Squirrel Knight as our top card and say, yeah, I don't know, this could fit in my deck. I haven't seen a single black card from Bloomborough, by the way. I think that's probably one of the biggest turnoffs.
Yeah, I'm not sure or if I did, it's like a pretty irrelevant card.
Yeah, the only one I saw was that Warlock that they only showed what it was. It was a Golgari Warlock.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was like an evil squirrel that makes acorn tokens, so that's fun. But
you know, what are we doing?
Yeah, we don't know what it does because they blocked out its text.
Yeah,
they just said that it was an evil squirrel was coming.
I know there's a black land, but it's going to be kind of irrelevant. I do know that. So
we'll have to wait and see. Bloomborough's coming up. It's going to be something, but get ready for rotations, guys. Start saving start saving that gold right now because it's coming. Yeah, we'll say farewell. No pun intended to these cards, and see if our sleepers pan out. We'll have to revisit this and see what our sleeper guess is if they start taking over the meta. So
we'll have to see if we come up with, or if they are printing any replacements that we don't know about yet.
Exactly.
You know, we know some of the spells that we're losing don't have replacements, or like don't have good ones really. So we'll have to see if something.
If Duskmorn has Super Wanderer in it.
Super Wandering Emperor, yeah. It'll be an evil one.
Yeah. As opposed to the good one that is right now.
Yeah, the good.
You remember when people thought the Wandering Emperor was an avatar of Emrakul?
I think I vaguely remember that, yeah.
Everyone was saying, "Oh, the Wandering Emperor, it's Emrakul. She has a human avatar." I don't know why anybody thought that. That's blue skying right there.
Definitely powerful, but yeah, probably not Emrakul.
No, well, I mean, now we know that she was the lost emperor of Kamigawa. So
yeah.
But everyone's like, it's Emrakul. I don't know why they thought that. What about her screamed Emrakul? Anyways, aside from she was mysterious, but
mysteriousness, yeah.
But anyways, that's pretty much it. That was our show for today. I hope you liked it. What's your sleeper, keeper, and sweeper? What is your number one hated, number one loved, and sad to see go? Who are your farm team picks to bring up? We'd like to know. Leave a comment. Tell us in the chat. And we'll keep the conversation going. I've been Jay Villainy. You've been great. Check us out on the Patreon, twitch.tv/thatvillainj, twitch.tv/num_skull_. All that stuff's going to be in the description. Thank you all for coming. We'll call this session of the Black Council to a close. Goodbye.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.